What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of Romance Creative Academy. As always, I'm Jay.
And I'm Mike.
And this week's episode is actually very special and close to us, and we think this is a topic that you will absolutely love. We are actually going to be interviewing two special guests, so keep watching for an inside scoop. Hey, Trevor. Hey, Sonia. Thanks for hopping on with us. How are you guys today?
Good. How are you guys? Good to see you.
Good to see you
Absolutely.
too. We're doing well.
Long time no see.
I know. We see each other enough, Mike. No, I'm kidding.
We're besties now.
Yeah, we are. We are.
So guys, I guess just tell the audience a little bit to Romance Creative Academy, family here. What are you guys? Who are you guys? Just a little bit of background. And then what do you guys got going on in your lives, in your business, things of that nature?
Yeah, so we are Sonia and Trevor. We live in North Carolina. We actually just moved here a year ago, loving it. We joined Romance Creative Academy. When did we join? Early this year, beginning of this year. Yeah, beginning. Yeah, so we met Mike and Jay. BBCon in October. So we met and then we kind of chatted and we loved what you guys were doing. And we were like, we want to be doing this. And, we had a background on creative finance and all of that, but like we didn't want to take the plunge without having a mentor. And we just vibed with you guys so well. So this year, what we're up to, we're learning creative finance. We're doing some deals, as we're going to talk about. We sold a deal on creative finance. And we're really just kind of trying to grow our business right now and, trying to kill it in real estate.
And can you tell the audience a little bit about what your portfolio looked like before starting with us?
So we were kind of buying houses conventionally, saving up money, buying the next house, saving up money, buying the next house. So we bought our first investment property in Austin. And that was kind of like a single family, and it had like a converted ADU unit. So we were kind of Airbnb-ing and living in one, house hacking it. That was our first strategy that we wanted to do. Great strategy. We loved it. And then we bought a 4-unit multifamily in San Antonio, which is like an hour south of where we were living in Austin, just 4 townhouses. We did like a mix. So we did like a long-term rental, we did the mid-term rental, we did short-term rentals. So we kind of had a big experience about all doing those 3 strategies. And then we bought a house with family in Florida, which is another single family, but it was like very slow because we had to just keep saving money or borrowing family money and then buying again and things. And we just knew that it wasn't going to be sustainable, or it was going to take us much longer to reach our goals. So we needed to figure out and pivot and think about another way. And that's where creative finance kind of came into it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Just to give the audience a little bit of background, these two guys are wild. I don't know how they do it all. They just had a little baby girl. So
cutest baby girl ever.
If she starts crying, one of us are going to have to
if you see one of us like lunging, it's because we're going to see our baby. But starting scaling a real estate business with a newborn.
It's really tough.
A lot harder than we.
It's like 2 full-time jobs.
It is 2 full-time jobs, definitely. Yeah.
Now, when you guys first started with us, our program starts off with getting your foundation in check, right? So we talked about, legal structure, we talked about accounting, all that stuff. And you guys ended up diving deep into your books, and I believe it was tax season around that time. And you came to us and said, hey, we actually want to sell one of our properties. Can you guys just take a look at it and tell us what you think, right? And you guys kind of came to us and said, I think we want to sell this creatively.
And how would we do that? So this is that 4-unit San Antonio deal when we first started, and when we were at BPCon, we talked about that multiple times over some beers.
Yeah, we did.
Talk to everybody and talk to us a little bit about that property, that deal. At the time when you guys had it, what did the cash flow look like? Eventually, why did you think about wanting to even sell it? And then talk about why you just didn't go the conventional route, right?
Yeah. Good questions. So we bought the fourplex in San Antonio in March of 2022. And for the most part, it was doing really great for us. I would say cash flow was about $1,000 a month. It was 4 units. 3 were long-term. 1 was vacant when we bought it. We renovated one of them and we turned it into a midterm rental. So we had 3 long-term, 1 midterm, and it was great. It was probably cash flowing us around 1,000 a month. Our investment goals changed a bit as soon as we moved to North Carolina. We didn't want to manage too much out of state. We wanted to kind of sell off what we were having. Also, through the Romans Creative Academy, we were learning how to properly set up our LLC structures and properly protect ourselves. And so we knew that we wanted to ultimately sell off what we had in Texas and then start buying more in North Carolina in our new home state. And so although the property was cash flowing, we knew it didn't really fit our long-term strategy. And we decided that it would probably be the best bet to sell it. Then it came to the point of actually deciding how we were going to sell it, because we bought the property in 2022.
The height of the
Yeah,
bubble.
yeah. So we bought it at 675. And we had paid down mostly interest at that point, but some principal. And we, after about 2 years, we owed about 630, let's call it 630, 635.
And we put a lot of money into it.
We put a lot of money, at least renovating that first unit and doing repairs and whatnot. And so we were into the property as well, above the 675 that we went from the start. And the market was saying that the place would only really sell for about 630, 640. And so we were in a really bad scenario where if we were to sell the property the conventional route at 640 and we owed 635, after closing costs, agent fees, and all of that, we probably would be actually cutting a check at the closing table, and losing money, not to mention all the monies that we put into it on repairs.
We actually tried to sell it conventionally first.
Yeah.
So we were just like putting the feelers out there, like speaking to people saying, hey, because we used to get a lot of people calling us saying, hey, I know you own this 4-plex. Can I buy it? We get all those calls all the time. And eventually we're like, okay, we'll buy it. We'll see what you guys are going to offer.
Super low offers.
And then obviously they're like, and to be fair play to them. They're doing their comps. They're realizing the market that we're in right now. So it's not like they're lowballing us on purpose. It's just, that's the way that the market was. And they were like, look, we can stretch to like 650. And so we would just knew that we were going to not even lose the money, basically what we owe is what we were going to get, but we were just going to lose so much money in like what we put into it. And I was just like, okay, we can't do this.
No.
And at the same time, we knew we didn't want to keep it until the market got better, because it wasn't, like you said, wasn't going to fit our investment goals.
Yeah. So we turned to Mike and Jay.
Well, it almost was a really great start to your journey, because you were the sellers that we help a lot of the time, right? You were the seller that had a property that you really just wanted out of, but you couldn't sell it because you were in a sense underwater if you went the conventional route.
Yeah.
So I want you guys now to talk a little bit about when you structured the deal and when we went through this, what did you have in mind on both sides? Did you talk about, all right, I want to sell this to a homeowner, I want to target this to an investor, and what is it going to make sense for me? So that was a lot. So the first question, let's start with, talk a little bit about the process of selling on terms. What did that look like to you guys?
You want to go for it?
Yeah. So we had to kind of figure out, okay, what's important for us. And when selling on terms, you got to figure out, okay, is it purchase price that's important to me? Is it the down payment? Is it the term? And so like
monthly payments,
monthly
interest.
payment. Yeah, exactly. So we had to figure out, okay, this is what we've got. We've got a cash flowing property, but bearing in mind, it's not like cash flowing a lot. So it's like, okay, we knew that we wanted to sell it to an investor because it was 4 townhouses, and we knew that you couldn't sell them off individually. So like that kind of already kind of cut out that demographic anyway. And so for us, the important thing was recouping all the money that we put into it. So to us, it was purchase price.
Yep.
So we knew, hey, we can wait for our money if we can get a higher purchase price and we don't lose out on that. I think, what did we spend? Maybe like close to 70 grand or whatever it was into it. Like if we can recoup that, we can wait down the line to get that. And that was what was important to us. So we kind of plugged in all those numbers and thought, okay, what is it? Obviously, like you said, Mike, thinking of both sides, what's going to be attractive to an investor, but at the same time, how do we feel like winners as well? And for that, our winning was higher purchase price.
Yep.
To an investor. It was like, hey, you can can get this house for less than 7% down, which is very unheard of in this market. We know the monthly payments are tight. If you had to then pay us monthly, we don't want monthly payments. You're not going to pay extra interest. You can take over our amazing interest rate, which I think was
3.5.
3.5. But hey, in 10 years time, just pay us out an extra, 60, 70 grand at the end of it. We know it's not worth that now, but we know it's definitely going to be worth that and more down the line. And so obviously we knew it was a good deal because the number of investors that came knocking on our door when we wrote this deal up was actually overwhelming.
Yeah.
There was like too many people. I was like, oh my God, it's a full-time job just doing this.
So you guys structured it and you sold it on what's called a wraparound mortgage, right?
Yeah.
Now, I guess talk a little bit about, we know that on the market, it was only worth about 630, 640. Now tell everybody, when you went to go sell this on a wraparound mortgage, what price did you get? What was that nice chunk of change that you actually got in your pocket instead of bringing to the table?
Mm-hmm.
And then the way that buyer, what was the buyer's end goal when he bought it, right? Because he's a really good dude.
Yeah. So the buyer that we sold the property to, he's an investor and he invests in multiple states, including Texas. And of course, when you're selling a fourplex, more likely than not, you're going to be selling to another investor. And that's exactly what we did. And so we wanted to make sure, and we can talk a little bit more about our process later, but we wanted to make sure that the person that was going to take this on had at least experience buying on wrap mortgages. We didn't want to sell to somebody who really had only experience with single family homes or not buying creatively, because this was a big project to take on. This had a mortgage of $5,000 a month. We wanted to make sure that somebody could really do a great job with the property.
So we sold it for $750.
Yeah.
And which was amazing. Like considering that the market it's worth $650, we basically sold it for 100 grand more, which is incredible.
Which puts our equity at 112,000. And like Sonia said earlier, what mattered to us was purchase price and down payment. And we knew with the current mortgage and the current way that rents were coming into the property, we didn't want to squeeze investors on the other end and ask for monthly payments or ask for interest. We knew that wouldn't be attractive for an investor. And so we said, all right, if somebody can offer us the 750 that we want for a purchase price,
give us 50
and give us a nice down payment, then we'll be really happy. And we won't ask for any monthly payments, and we can discuss a long-term balloon payment and wait for the rest of that money. And so it's actually quite a simple way that we structured it. Of the 112,000 of our equity, we got a check for $50,000 at closing. And now 10 years from now, we'll get another check for 62, unless they decide to refinance or sell the property beforehand.
That's amazing. And I know everyone loves to hear those numbers, but I have one question that you guys brought up to us that's probably in everyone's mind. Yeah. What happens if this person stops paying you? Right. Yeah. And that definitely was one of your fears. And how did we kind of overcome that hurdle with you guys?
That's a great question. So a lot of times what we'll talk about when we're working with sellers on the other end is a document called the deed in lieu, which basically states that if the buyer misses a single payment, they have all of the necessary documentation in place to get the deed back in their name, back in the original seller's name. In Texas specifically, we didn't need that specific document because of the foreclosure rules are pretty lenient and it's a pretty straightforward process. So we felt protected in that front, but essentially we had the necessary documentation in place so that if the current buyer missed a single mortgage payment, we could foreclose on the property. And I tell Sonia this all the time. I almost hope that happens because we'll keep that $50,000 down payment, get the property back in our name, and then we'll go do it again. So
obviously we don't want that to happen. No, I'd rather.
But if it does, we're protected.
Yeah, we are.
Thank you guys for clarifying that. I think that's huge. So for anyone who's thinking about selling creatively one of their investment properties, it's definitely doable. And there is paperwork out there to protect you, right? Yep. So don't ever feel afraid or alone. Just ask these questions. Trevor and Sonia definitely asked us all these questions.
Oh yeah. And obviously different per state too. So like, you know, like Trevor mentioned the deed in lieu. We were like, oh, we'll just do the deed in lieu. And then you come across a state, it's like, hey, we don't accept the deed in lieu. And it's like, okay, so can we even still do this? And it's just finding out those answers per state. So it's really important to kind of like have that knowledge about the state that you're investing in, because everyone has its own little nuances and stuff, and you just don't want to get like tripped up on those types of things.
And another thing that Mike and Jay recommended that we put in place with this deal was a servicing company. And basically what that does is just notify us when the buyer is making payments. And then that way, if Sonia and I need to go out and get another loan in our name and we need to clear our DCI, we have clear proof that our mortgage is being paid by another person.
Yeah, that's another thing, just to kind of keep it
just to give us that peace of mind and also that transparency of what's going on.
I'm glad you brought that up, because that is my next question to you guys is, how has the process been so far since you've sold it?
Really great.
It's been great. I mean, we
knew we had to be in bed with this investor for 10 years. So we were like, you know, obviously through you guys, your advice, we followed that process to a T and like made sure that we were vetting these people. I mean, we would in any case, but especially with our own as well. We were like, we know we need to make sure that it's an investor that's done these deals before, they have experience, they know how these things work, you know, they're not going to trip us up on anything. And so we like spent a good few days like interviewing, calling these buyers up, talking about what they plan to do with it and paying us and all of that. And I think that really like made us find such a great buyer, and he's still great. And you know, we touch base a few times, and like he's great. Honestly, we picked a really, really good one. We actually had a few people go in higher than he did, but then when we got on the phone with them, I don't know, it didn't feel right. And I was like, look, okay, so you can maybe make an extra 10 grand at closing, but then have headaches down the road. Like, it's just not worth it. Whereas this guy just felt like he was solid and good, and like it's been great since, honestly.
He has a ton of creative experience. He's taken on projects this size before. He had a really good vision for the property, turning them all into midterm rentals. And so it's been really smooth from here on out. We helped with the transition when we closed. Our first unit was an Airbnb, so we handed over our photos. We helped him create a listing, and now he's, you know, doing a great job.
Yeah, he's actually renovating another one right now.
Exactly,
another one of the units.
Yep.
You guys hit on a big point that I want everyone to realize, and that is the relationship between you as the seller and the buyer. So his success is also your success, and a lot of people don't realize that when they're going into relationships like this, right? And I know Mike's itching over there to say something. So
yeah, I was gonna say, like, when I want you guys and everybody listening too, I need you to think about it on the flip side, right? What made Sonia and Trevor as the seller feel comfortable going with Abe, the buyer, right? Typically, all of us, or even the people that are watching, we're always on the buyer side. We're the ones presenting something to the seller. We're the ones making the seller feel comfortable, and there may be competition. But Trevor and Sonia went with this guy, this buyer, not only because what he offered to them in terms of a down payment and some of the terms worked for them, and he wasn't the best offer, but he made them feel comfortable. His communication was there, and everything checked out. So that is a really good indicator and just a good insight on the flip side of things of what you guys need to be doing as buyers, right? You need to be making the sellers feel comfortable that you're talking to, because at the end of the day, they're not typically making their decisions off of the money you give them. They're making the decisions off of who they can trust and who they feel most comfortable with. So I just wanted to bring that to light.
A holistic view of the buyer at the end of the day. Vibes are real.
Okay. Yes, they are.
Yeah.
And we got some iffy vibes from some people were like, I'll give you 800 cash tomorrow. When we're like, red flag.
So before we let you guys go, I have one more question for you. And that is, do you have any advice you can give our audience if they're thinking of selling creatively? If you had to do it all over again, is there any advice you would give?
I mean, this isn't even to just like promote you guys, but it is to get a mentor, to any like a mentor who's done this, because I started to learn about creative finance before we started working with you guys. And like I bought like, those courses off YouTube online. And like you think, oh, I've watched all these videos. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm talking about. But actually, like it doesn't set you up for like going through these step-by-step process. And I don't think we personally wouldn't have had the confidence to do this on our own. And I know that mentorship costs money. So like I feel, like I appreciate that it's an investment. But if you're going to take on deals like this, which can get tricky or complicated, like try and find a mentor. And like, if you can't afford one, maybe there's someone that you know in your space that's maybe done it, or they can refer to you. Like it can be someone like that, I think. But like for me, my biggest advice is to not, I don't think it's like a rookie thing. Is my, like I've tried to learn it myself, and I tried to do it for a good 6 months, like on my own, and I just couldn't. I just know now that it would have been a mistake if we tried to do this without like a mentor first.
Totally.
Right.
And Jay, was part of your question about like advice for somebody who is also trying to sell their house on seller financing?
Yes.
So in that instance, I would say just have a think about what part of the creative process, in terms of those variables we talked about at the beginning, mean the most to you. Is it the purchase price? Do you need money now? Is the down payment most important to you? If you don't need all of your money now, you could probably get more money later. Is cash flow important to you? Do you want consistent checks coming through the mail, even if it's just some mailbox money? I think just have a think about what is important to you. And in our scenario, it was a higher purchase price. We didn't need, we got a nice down payment, but we're okay waiting for a huge check 10 years from now, if we can get more money 10 years from now. So just think about what matters most to you.
Absolutely. Those were two great points. So number one, know yourself as a learner and go get what you need to be able to be successful at the end of the day. And number two, what is it that you need? And we touched upon this with our sellers all the time. We teach you guys that. So I love that advice.
So I was going to say, we really appreciate you guys coming on here and talking to everybody. I guarantee there's a ton of people out there who've had situations like yours, who currently maybe even do, right? And are looking for a way out. So this is for everybody to know that there is options. Trevor and Sonia made a boatload of money off the sale of this house, and will also have another check coming because they thought outside the box. They got the help that they needed, and they were willing to take a little bit of a risk. And I'm going to give this shout out right now, if this house isn't already assigned by the time this video comes out. But Trevor and Sonia have a beautiful, awesome wraparound mortgage deal in North Carolina that they're looking to assign instead of keep. If anybody is interested or wants, make sure to reach out to Trevor and Sonia on social media, or just reach out to us and we'll connect you with them.
These two, if you guys haven't been following them on Instagram, follow them. They are kicking butt, and with a little one.
Yep.
So definitely give them a follow.
Thanks
Do you
to
guys do you guys want to throw out there your handle?
Yes. So we are on Instagram. We are Real Estate Rebels, but it's real.estate.rebels. And then do you want to get, and we have personal too, but I think most of our real estate stuff's on that one.
Yeah.
And then you can also like add us on Facebook too. We are active on there. We go live, we do videos, and we talk about deals. So I'm Sonia Cookler on Facebook, and he's Trevor Cookler on Facebook. Yeah. So we're active on both. We would love, and like just reach out to us. We love speaking to other people who want to do this. We love to help. Like if there's anything we can do to help, like reach out to us. We'd be happy to have a chat.
Awesome. Thank you guys. Any last words?
I think we're good. I'm tapped out.
Thank you for having us on.
Yeah, thank you for having us on.
Absolutely.
Bye.
Awesome. See you guys.